Hey everyone, Stephen Glicker here from World from Combat, and I'm going to go over some breaking news from the world of Warhammer and Games Workshop and how they have had pretty much the exact opposite year of Hasbro. They are the bizarro Hasbro, if you will. It is kind of weird just how opposite they had in terms of years. And yet, they're both public companies and they both cater to very similar audiences. So what is going on here? Why did Hasbro and WotC have such an atrocious year? And why did Games Workshop have such a great year? Let's look at some of the breaking news. So first up, now this actually was reported about a year ago that there was a deal between Amazon and Warhammer for Henry Cavill to produce 40K films and television. But it was finally inked because here's the actual press release from Games Workshop itself saying that Warhammer, starring Henry Cavill, is that Games Workshop and Amazon Studios are working together to bring the Warhammer 40,000 universe to screens, big and small alike. And it just says that Henry Cavill is going to be involved. He's probably going to be a producer. Maybe he'll star in it. Who knows? But Henry Cavill is kind of the king of geeks. I mean, this guy really, really knows his stuff. And he's good looking. He seems to be very intelligent. He's very charismatic. He's obviously been in some of the most, popular movies around, especially for geeks. And there's videos of him like building a computer. And I mean, this is like a hardcore gaming computer. And in fact, he missed, okay? This is how big of a geek is. He missed his Man of Steel audition because he was too busy raiding in his World of Warcraft guild. So this guy is the real deal. And he loves Warhammer. So this is something that's been in the works for a while, but it's been confirmed. So meanwhile, we have Games Workshop, who has Henry Cavill doing this. And then you have Hasbro, who just released D&D television. Has anyone watched it? It's out now. There's 3 shows. I reviewed them a few weeks ago. Has anyone watched them? I wouldn't be surprised if more people are going to watch this video than have actually watched everything on D&D TV. Good luck even trying to find it, okay? You won't find it. And if you do, the shows are fine. If you're going to watch any, I kind of like the cooking show. That's my quick review. The other thing is that, well, while Hasbro is firing everyone, Games Workshop just gave their staff a 2,500 pound year of end bonus. Everyone on staff got a 2,500 pound bonus. And they did this also last year. So one company is firing everyone, and the other company is handing out bonuses and doing great. And on top of that, they did this last year too. So they have it looks like a profit sharing program with their employees, which is, pretty nice thing to have, I would admit. It gives employees a reason to work hard and to actually put in the extra effort because they might get a bonus at the end of the year. So you have that. And something else I will note, just to show you how opposite they are, is that as popular and as big as Baldur's Gate 3 was, is as poor and as bad as the Age of Sigmar video game that just came out about a month ago. And I didn't have any articles up here, but man, that thing was terrible. I actually played it, and I was actually really excited for it. I downloaded the demo and played it, and the demo was not good. And I am a huge video game player. I love tactical games. It looks like the game was actually designed to specifically work on consoles, which is why I think it didn't do very well. Now, as to what's going on here, like why are these two companies so different? And they're both public. And I'm going to tell you why. The main reason, in my opinion, is that you have Games Workshop, which has a laser focus. Okay, their laser focus is Warhammer, Warhammer 40K, and all their products. While you have Hasbro, which is all over the place, okay? Hasbro has obviously their toy division, their digital division, their licensing division, which, by the way, Games Workshop has licensing too. They do a lot of licensing, but you can get the point, is that they're just all over the place. And if this happened last year, this being Alta Vista, shows you how old I am. Alta Fox was an investment group that they went after Hasbro last year and basically insisted that they spin off WotC as a separate company. And they went through, I'm going to not go through everything, but they basically have a 2.5% stake in the company. And they said, look, you need to just break these two companies apart. It looks, and they knew this last year, it's like Hasbro is sinking fast. WotC and Magic and D&D are doing very well, and these two companies should be separate. And on top of that, they insisted that they start changing the board of directors, and they wanted to have, I think it was John Finkel, who was a Magic pro as well as an investor, and they wanted to put him on the board of directors. So they wanted someone on the board of directors who knew Magic the Gathering, who knew the space, and also was, financially viable and had a background in finance. And of course, Hasbro fought this tooth and nail because it was true. I mean, what are they going to do? And the funny thing here is that they said that the spinoff would increase Hasbro's share price by $100. The toy giant refuted the claim, saying that separating Wizards of the Coast from its core business would be detrimental to both the division and the company as a whole. Yeah, no kidding, it would be detrimental. In fact, if you separated it, I'm going to tell you what would have happened. Hasbro would have been, I don't know if they would have gone out of business, but oh boy, they would have been in a ton of trouble because they are just sinking fast. Their sales were down 20% last year, 20% this year. You can't go down 20% year after year after year and expect to do well. Meanwhile, WotC is holding up the entire company. And because of that, they are getting layoffs and they're feeling the brunt of what's going on as Hasbro overall. And that's unfair to WotC, and that's unfair to the employees and fair to the people who are making products that are actually doing well. And I've said it before, is that Hasbro is right now like a one-legged dog. Okay? I love dogs, trust me. I feel it's a bad analogy. Okay, a one-legged horse. There. A one-legged horse. And the only thing holding up that horse right now is, I wouldn't even say WotC. I'd say Magic. Magic's the only thing holding up that entire company right now. Everything else is falling. It's all falling apart. D&D is kind of stable, but that's also starting to collapse, and they really have a lot riding on next year. As for their other divisions, their toy divisions, that's gone. I mean, what are they going to do? Just magically start selling toys to people? Kids are just magically going to start going to like Target and Walmart and start buying toys? They just don't, okay? I've seen people argue with me on this and they say, no, my kids buy toys too. And that's not true. Kids don't just use iPads. That's not true at all. It is true, okay? It is. Trust me. My kids have toys too. My kids are old now, but I have an entire room. I have a playroom filled with toys. But you know what's in there? Mostly Legos, which, by the way, Lego's doing great. There's a lot of Lego in there. There's a whole bunch of like science toys and learning toys, which they got both as presents as well as things I bought them because they enjoyed that. And there are some action figures. And let me tell you, every single one of those action figures was bought by someone else and given to them at a party. And let me tell you how frequently they use those action figures. 0. They never, ever use them. The things they use all the time is that they would use Legos. They had this like roller coaster set with like marbles they would use all the time. Like anything that was kind of interactive, they would use. Now I realize everyone's different, okay? Your kids might be completely different. But I'll tell you what they use and still use to this day, and that's iPad and iPhone. In fact, strangely enough, because I'm really into computers and really into video games, my kids don't even play video games, which I actually find offensive personally because I love video games and I wish they would play with me. The point is that they have been brought up in the digital age, and the people that are buying action figures are me. Okay? I'm staring at them. I have more action figures in my office than that are in that playroom right now, okay? And that's a problem, is that Hasbro is not capturing the newest segment, the newest market. And the only thing they have that's holding them up is Magic and D&D, and now hopefully they can transfer into digital. So you say, well, what about Games Workshop? How did Games Workshop do it? Because, yeah, sure, they have digital, but they're selling something very similar. They're selling pieces of plastic. Isn't that similar to toys? Isn't that similar to action figures? I had Discourse Mini on the show a few weeks ago, and she had an amazing outlook. She said Games Workshop sells aspiration. And I kind of thought about it. I was like, they sell you these minis that you will buy and look at and hope to paint one day. And maybe you will and maybe you won't. But there's the hope you will. The other thing that Games Workshop does, which is very smart, is that they update their game every 3 years, which forces everyone to continuously buy it every 3 years. And they don't just update it a little. They update the rules significantly, but then the minis can be reused. So you're constantly buying new rule books, you're constantly buying new minis. So it's sort of like this alternate pattern where you have, okay, 1 year you're buying the rules, 1 year you're buying the minis, next year you're buying, or next year you're playing because it's on a 3-year cycle. By the way, cars do this too. Cars have a 3-year cycle. So they have this perfect 3-year cycle. They keep going. Magic has a perfect cycle too. It used to be 2 or 3 times a year where they come out with sets. Now it seems to be every week because they need to get as much money out of you as possible. And Dungeons and Dragons, well, if they were smart, they probably would have at least, they didn't have to go full new version every 3 years, but they could have gone the Pathfinder route, which is, okay, Pathfinder 2nd edition came out about 3 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Well, guess what? They just put out remastered. Okay, well, everyone's buying the remastered copy. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with another version in 3 more years, and I'd buy that one too. And it doesn't have to be a completely new rule set. It could just be updated rule sets. It could be, okay, we're cleaning things up, and everyone will keep buying it. And they also keep putting out new rules specifically from Paizo. They come out with new classes. Every year they come out with 1 to 2 new classes every year. And everyone buys those books. How frequently does WotC come out with new classes? They don't. They rarely change the rules. What they would come out with is adventure paths, which I never understood. Why are they coming out with adventure paths? That is so stupid because only one person usually buys an adventure path in a group, and that is the DM. So 1 out of 5 people are making and buying, 1 out of 5 people are buying the adventure path. So why are you making only adventure paths? You need to come out with way more player-facing content. Or better yet, come out with things like monster manuals, which everyone can buy and everyone can use. That's the secret. I myself, being a publisher, know this. In fact, yes, I put out Jewel of the Indigo Isle right behind me, and I love that adventure, and I killed myself on it, and I'm glad it's selling well, but I also know that I will never sell nearly as many of my Jewel of the Indigo Isle as I will my dragon book. Okay, the dragon book where you can play a dragon, and that will appeal to everyone. Okay, that appeals to GMs, PCs, heck, people who just like looking at pictures of dragon and reading lore. And no coincidence that it's my bestseller. The same thing. Now, don't get me wrong, they have released dragon books. WotC has done this. But they really need to do this more. They need to release products that appeal to everyone. not just game masters, not to a segment of their audience. And they need to do it on a regular cycle. Paizo has a regular cycle. They release a certain number of books every single year. They release a certain type of book every single year. They release a certain number of adventures every single month. Everyone knows the cycle for Paizo. They know exactly what to expect. They don't know what to expect. D&D's all over the place. They're constantly changing what they're coming out with. And you know what? That leads to confusion. And more importantly, it's hard to build up excitement and anticipation when you're just coming out with random stuff all the time. Now, obviously, that's different for small publishers like myself, who follows that. I kind of follow that method. But for a big company, you should have a cycle. You should have something that everyone looks forward to every year. Apple, you know there's a new iPhone every single year, okay? Movie companies, okay? You know, like there's certain movies that are coming out certain times a year. And you know, okay, January is when all the dead movies come out. Labor Day weekend, you know, that's when all the big movies come out. You have the summer movies and so forth. You have certain types of movies. Usually the art house movies come out during Christmas. You know, you have certain types of movies that come out certain types of years. I can go on and on. There's obviously certain times of years in which certain types of products come out. With D&D, it's just all over the place. But with Games Workshop, everyone knows. Everyone knows when these things are coming out. Everyone can anticipate it. Everyone can build up excitement. And then the audience itself, your hardcore players and fans, they'll do the excitement building for you. So that is what can happen. If WotC gets broken off, maybe it can go the same way as Game Workshop. Maybe it could be thriving and doing fantastic. Maybe they could be giving out bonuses and hiring people instead of firing them. But unfortunately, Hasbro and toys are dragging down WotC, and if they're not careful, it's going to bring down everything with them. Magic, D&D, everything. It's all going to be dragged down by the massive amount of debt that Hasbro has, the deflated stock price, and the continuous brain drain that's going on in Hasbro right now. Anyhow, once again, I'm Stephen Glicker from World from Combat. I'm going to have a big show tomorrow. It's a live show at 3 p.m. where I, myself, and Baron D. Ropp and Mark Seifter are going to go through the year of Hasbro and WotC 2023. And oh boy, what a year it was. So make sure you like and subscribe and ring that bell so you hear whenever we go live, because sometimes I go live whenever I want to. Anyhow, with that, thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.